Hello, and welcome to this video about So Much More Than Accounts product records. In this video I'm going to take a deep dive into the structure of product records in So Much More Than Accounts, explain all of the different fields that we store for each product that you want to record in the system, and I'm going to look at how the integration between So Much More Than Accounts and Shopify works from the point of view of product records and product records being copied across from So Much More Than Accounts to one or more Shopify stores. So I'm logged into my test account and I'm going to open up the list of product records in here. For the course of this video I'm going to focus on these two test records, comedy records if you like, a nice blue cat and a nice ginger cat. I'll open the ginger cat record up first of all, and I'm going to go through all of the different fields in the product record to help you understand what they are and what they do. Now, if you're using So Much More Than Accounts and you want to get any details about a field, if you hover your cursor over the field name like this, you'll get a pop-up to tell you a little bit about what that field does. We try and make them as helpful as possible. They're not perfect, but they do tend to have a little bit more information, and that's a good way to get some if you're using the system and you're not really sure what you should be putting into a particular field. But to start off with, the first field that I want to bring your attention to is this one at the top left, physical or service. Now this is a drop down and it allows you to tell the system whether a product is a physical product, a thing that gets stored in a warehouse and shipped to customers, or a service that obviously doesn't get stored in a warehouse but can still be sold to customers rather than shipped. It's obviously a very important distinction, and it changes the way that the product record behaves and orders for that product behave. I'm going to focus on physical products because they're the more complex in this particular video, but that's the first field that you need to set. This product is a physical product. Next, on the right, you'll see the stock code. Now, there are three fields in each product record which are used by the system to identify the product in different parts of the system. Those three are the stock code, the seller SKU, and the EAN code. The stock code is the part number. It's the item, the reference number that you would use to refer to this product in your systems, in your own warehouse. It needs to be unique. Every product in your system has to have a different stock code. You can't have two of the same, and that's similar to EAN. The EAN code also has to be unique within your system. The seller SKU is a slightly different field. It's there to give you another way of identifying an item, but in most cases the stock code and the seller SKU will likely be the same. Most people don't need three unique identifiers for a given product. If you've got an EAN code, then that's probably the best thing to use because it's typically printed on the outside of the box as a barcode and can be scanned in a warehouse and so on. And you'll notice that stock code is not a required field. So you could not have an EAN code, not have a seller SKU, not have a stock code, but that would make identifying the product very difficult. The recommendation is that you should always have an EAN, you should have a stock code if you use one, and if you have a third identifier, put that in the seller SKU. Okay, moving on, obviously the product name is very important. The product name is used to tell customers about the product. It's the product name that will appear on your Shopify store, it will appear in your Amazon listings. It's the name that you give the product when you refer to it when you're talking to customers. Next, we have a system to create and label manufacturers. This is often useful when you have products from different manufacturers that have basically the same function. So you might have a Hoover vacuum cleaner, you might have a Dyson vacuum cleaner, and you can use this to copy across to your store and give customers the ability to filter by brand, so on. It's a drop-down list, and you can add to that list simply by pressing this plus button here. So if you wanted to set this to a particular manufacturer name that wasn't already in the drop-down list, then you can do that, and it's automatically allocated. And now you can select this this manufacturer name for any other product that you wish to set it to. You can set a default supplier for each product. You don't have to, it can be left blank. This is a list of all the suppliers in the system, and you can choose any one of them to be the default supplier for a product. It's not a requirement, but you can set it up so that the purchasing system knows which supplier you normally buy the product from. You don't have to buy the product from the supplier that's designated here, but it makes the purchasing process quicker if you set one. Nextly, we've got this little editor box, which is the place that you can put your product description. Now, your product description, again, is used on your Shopify store, on your Amazon store, on any other store that you link to this system. It can be entered as free text, and you've got these editor buttons at the top that allow you to format the text. Once you do that, the text will be saved in HTML, so it should work on more or less any web store that you've got integrated with your So Much More Than Accounts account. You can cut and paste into this field, or you can just type. And you can see the box expands. I think the field size is pretty much unlimited. Okay. Next, the system allows you to enter the net weight and the shipping weight of the product. The net weight is the weight of the product. That's information for the purchaser. The shipping weight is actually used by the system when it chooses the shipping method when you sell the product. So if you want to get the best possible price for your shipping and have the system calculate the right shipping method based on the weight, then you need to make sure that this is accurate. Also, for shipment purposes, the dimensions. So this is the dimensions of the box that the product comes in, the box that the product's shipped in. You need to enter these in either centimeters or inches. We obviously recommend centimeters, and you can choose the units here. I'll come back in a minute to talk about next cost. But this is the box where you choose how next cost is set on each individual product. Is where you put the EAN code, the seller SKU. Also for shipping, especially if you're shipping internationally, you will need to have the HS code, that's the harmonized tariff code for the product, and the country of origin. We need those so that we can complete the customs documents for shipments through customs borders. If you don't intend to ship a product through customs borders, then you don't need to enter these details. That brings us on to the discussion of pricing. Now, one of the big benefits of So Much More Than Accounts is that it allows you a really great amount of flexibility in setting selling prices, plural, for each of your products. Every product has a main selling price, and as you can see from the star here, it's a required field. And the main selling price is always quoted in your reporting currency. So when you set up your So Much More Than Accounts instance, you create a reporting currency, the currency that you do your official books in, that you publish your accounts for your taxes and to your government in. That's called your reporting currency, and the main selling price is always denominated in reporting currency. Now you can have that price set for each product manually, so you just enter it, or you can have it set as a markup over what we call next cost. I'm going to leave this manual for the minute, and I'm just going to talk for a minute about next cost. Expected next cost, or next cost, is a required field on every product, and it's required because it needs to be used in your accounts. So when you sell this product, you deduct stock of £60. If you book one of these products in, then you gain stock of £60. The cost is used in the accounts, so it's a required field. It's called expected next cost because that's the value that's important when you're figuring out what your stock is worth. If you were to buy 10 items for £100 each, but then the next day the market price dropped to £50 each, it's fair to assume that the value of those items has also dropped. certainly it's fair to assume that the next one you buy will only cost you £50. So that's the best price to use when you decide what the products are worth. Expected next cost, not the actual cost of the individual product items. Now, if you buy a product for £100, a single item, when it's booked into stock, that actual item in So Much More Than Accounts is recorded as having a cost price of £100. But the expected next cost on the product record, which is separate from the item records, the records of the things you own that in your warehouse, may have a different expected next cost to the value of all those items. It could be that you choose to set the expected next cost as the average cost of all the items in the warehouse. But that may or may not be correct. It's up to you to decide how you keep these records. But I'm just trying to explain how expected next cost is different from the actual cost of each individual item. Now then, in this case we've got expected next cost set to £60, and if we then set our main selling price to markup over cost, and we set the margin to 50%, then you'll see that that sets the selling price to a 50% margin over the expected next cost. 60 plus 50% gives us 90. If we set it to 100%, then that sets the main selling price to 120. If we set it to 33.65, then the system calculates what that is. So this gives us an option to price products at a known margin in a circumstance where the cost changes. If you place a purchase order for a ginger cat, and the cost you pay for your ginger cat is actually £66, then the purchasing process will give you the option to update the next cost to 66. Or if you buy it for 50, it'll allow you to update the next cost to 50. So this next cost can vary with purchase, and that will mean that the selling price also varies as you purchase products. So if you're in a competitive market with rapidly changing prices, that can be very helpful. If you're selling a branded product and you want to keep it the price at a sensible rate, then it's obviously better to fix the selling price and don't worry about margin over next cost. But all of those are possible. Also, in this section, in between the next cost and the main selling price, you'll see there are extra selling prices in different currencies. And each one of these can either be manually set or converted from the main selling price, or set based on a markup that you have for this particular currency, which allows you to take advantage of any preferential exchange rate you may have, or different tax levels between different currencies. If you want to keep these prices stable, obviously manual is the way to go. But if you want them to move around with the exchange rate, then convert from the main selling price will convert this price into this price based on an exchange rate that can be automatically updated, if you like, in your business settings. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. But if you want it flat, fine, set it to manual. If you want it to be auto-converted, set it to auto-convert. Coming on down to the end of the area, you can enter a manufacturer's part number for the product, which is, different from your seller SKU, your stock code, your EAN code, all the same, doesn't really matter. You can set an item status. You can set a release date, so you either know when a product became available or when it will become available in the future. And you can set a discontinuation date, which obviously would discontinue the product once that date is reached. And then you've got 3 text tags, which you can use just to put searchable notes on a particular product. Lastly, you've got a unit of measure, which is normally each. It's not a required field, but sometimes that is required as part of the international shipping process. Lastly, two very important checkboxes. This box on the left, add manual serial numbers for this item, means that if you tick it, then whenever you book instances of this item into the warehouse, the person booking the stock in will have to record the serial numbers of the items. So that's very useful for high value spare parts, mobile phones, anything that carries a serial number where you want to track and make sure that if you get a return, it really is the item you sent out, where you want to track who got what serial numbers for safety purposes, any of those kind of reasons you might have to track serial numbers. This gives you the option to do that. You've also got the option to require batch numbers. That's normally used in, say, food products or products with a batch expiry date, for very similar reasons, but it allows you to track a large group of products rather than tracking individual items. You can use this button here to add as many images as you like of the product. They're shown on your web stores, and they're also shown in the system. For example, when somebody's booking in stock, they can see this picture. And then you've also got the option to add video links, so you can add URLs here for YouTube videos or for videos on Vimeo, which will then be copied across to your web store and displayed on the product page as well. Lastly, we've got a section at the bottom that allows you to enter product variation options. Now, this allows you to create groups of products that vary only in these 5 options. So you can have products that have different colours, you can have products that have different sizes, styles, materials, and again, these are echoed into Shopify, where products are often grouped together, especially in fields like apparel or in accessories, where you might have the same product in different colours. These are used to create those product groups, which makes the website more navigable and easier to look at. I'm not going to deal with these just yet. We're going to talk about that in a separate video, but that's what these fields are for. Now then, going back to the top of the page, we have 3 other tabs as well as the basic information tab, which we've just gone through. I'm just going to hit save so that those changes are saved. And I can now look at the notes. So notes are here, visible only to users of So Much More Than Accounts, as a way of recording actions that you might have taken in the system. Some things are recorded automatically. For example, you can see that the main selling price change has been recorded automatically. And if I go back to the basic info, update the main selling price to 120, and then save, an automatic note has been generated recording this change. You can also add manual notes. So I can say make notes that might be useful if we're working in a sales team, we've got people on the phone taking orders, and we need to update everybody in the sales team with some information about a product. As you can see, the notes are in most recent first, and this list can get as long as you like. Next, we've got the integration data tab. Now, the integration data tab for each product tells you which of the linked web stores this product will appear on. Right now we have 3 linked web stores, but this product doesn't appear on any. If I was to tick the PA Great Britain store and click upload to stores, that would upload this product to the UK store, or the PA Great Britain store only. If you've got 10 integrations, you'll see 10 options here, and you can tick and allow the product to go on to which one you like. I'm not going to do that because some of these stores are live, but that gives you those options. You can see here in this section that this product is actually grouped with the Blue Cat into a group of products that have variations. They vary in this case by colour, and we have a nice ginger cat blue and a nice ginger cat ginger. Then under here we have a huge section of boxes where you can fill in ASINs, FNSKUs and seller SKUs for Amazon related products. You may have multiple Amazon stores. Maybe you have Germany, France, UK all set up. They'd all appear here as separate integrations. And you may have different ASINs for the same product on your different international stores. And in that case, you've got the option to add those ASINs here, to add those FNSKUs and those seller SKUs, so that the system knows when you get an order in from Amazon, whether it's from France or Germany, it can tell that it's for this individual product. We'll talk a little bit more about Amazon integration in a different video, but that's what those fields are there for. Lastly, the translations tab. Now you can see here that the English name of the product is a nice ginger cat. It's manufactured by Cats R Us, and the description is shown here in HTML, the way that it would be copied across to, say, a Shopify store or an Amazon store. Obviously the text shows, but the HTML characters don't. We've also got the option here to also have descriptions in Spanish and Russian. And the system has the ability to automatically translate the English description into Spanish and Russian. And you can see just by pressing a button you can do that. And it does that while maintaining the HTML in the same way, in the same style. So you've still got strong tags around the top line, and you've still got paragraph marks in the same place. But the English component, it's big and fat and ginger, has been translated into Spanish. Su grande y goro y gengible. My Spanish is appalling, but I think that's about right. The Russian I'm not even going to try. You can add as many languages as you like in the settings, and you can auto-translate either one product or all products in your system. Once you've done an auto-translation, of course, you have to save, but now those are saved here and can be copied across to the web stores. Right, hopefully that's given you a good, deep understanding of the way that product records are handled in So Much More Than Accounts. So Much More Than Accounts can control an almost unlimited number of stores, whether they're Amazon, WooCommerce, Magento or Shopify. And the big advantage of using So Much More Than Accounts behind a particularly large portfolio of stores is that it makes it much easier to make centralized changes. So for example, if you want to make a product description change, I'm going to add an extra line, now on special offer, and save it. If these 3 stores were all ticked on this particular product, and I go over to the translation and get an auto translation, we've now updated these translations and they can be copied directly across to the stores. I hope that helps. I hope this has given you some more information, and if you need any help at all, of course, don't hesitate to contact your account manager. Thanks for watching.